Hi, welcome back to my garden. It's a beautiful day in the middle of March. Quite early in the year, but the first few insects are out and about, and it's really important to provide flowers for this time of year because um, there aren't naturally too many around, and particularly for the bees that have been hibernating as adults over the winter underground, bumblebees in particular, then they're starving hungry. They haven't had anything to eat since last July. Imagine how hungry you'd get, and so providing them with something to fuel their activities and build them up so that they can go on to find nests and start laying eggs is really vital. March isn't a great time for flowers, but actually with a bit of effort you can provide quite a selection that will keep not just the bumblebees happy, but solitary bees, the early butterflies that are just beginning to come out and about, things like brimstones and so on, and bee flies and all these other fascinating little creatures that start to appear in the spring. Everybody's favourite time of year, surely. So let's have a wander around the garden and see what we can find. This pretty plant is Erysimum. Bowles Mauve is the variety. It's very widely available in garden centres. Member of the cabbage family, type of wallflower essentially, but it's perennial and it probably has about the longest flowering season of any plant you might grow in your garden. If you're lucky, you can have this flowering pretty much for 12 months of the year, right from early spring all the way through summer, autumn and back to spring again. Who'd have thought it? This of course is Rosemary, classic cottage garden plant and really useful herb in the kitchen, and rather beautiful too, and the bees rather like it at this time of year, particularly queen bumblebees. You see lots of buff-tails on this. Kind of flowers irregularly at odd times in the year, but the main peak of flowering is March and April. This is a trailing variety. It's rather pretty, but the more conventional ones are more upright. This delicate little plant is grape hyacinth. Comes out March and April. Popular with bee flies, and if you're lucky, hairy-footed flower bees as well as bumblebees. Very easy to grow, perennial. I just put it in last year, and this is the first time it's flowered. I'm rather pleased. This is Erica carnea, a winter flowering heather. It starts flowering in January, been flowering ever since. It's just beginning to go over now. Another great plant for the first bumblebee queens of the year to venture out on a cold spring morning. Primrose is gorgeous native wildflower. What's not to love? Not actually super attractive to many insects, but you do get some of the medium-tongued bumblebees, the early common carder queens like primroses, and also again bee flies if you're lucky. But one of my favourites. This is Pollinator, related to comfrey and borage. Odd spotted leaves. This is probably the single best early spring flower. If you want to get hairy-footed flower bees in your garden, then the bigger the patch of this you've got, the better. It's really rich in nectar. A very no-trouble little plant. Will grow in shady spots or out in the sun. Slowly spreads out, but not at all invasive. Really nice, sweet little plant. Japanese quince. Lovely red flowers in early spring. You often get early bumblebees on this, Bombus pretorum. You can eat the fruits as well. They're rather nice actually. Yeah, just smaller versions of the quince that's more regularly eaten. It makes a very handsome shrub. And this is hellebore. It's a very rather odd plant really. The flowers are more green than anything else, with a sort of purplish underside. Kind of beautiful in a funny kind of way. But this is another winter flowering plant. It's actually coming to the end of its flowering period now. The bees are starting to ignore it, but this had buff-tailed bumblebee queens on it a month ago. Another easy plant to grow. It seeds itself around the place just a little bit, but not too much, not so much to be trouble, and just looks after itself. Happy in shady corners, but here it's in full sun and it seems to get more bees on it. This is flowering currant. You might be able to hear the bumblebee buzzing around my head. Just beginning to come out. I love these delicate little pink flowers. These don't produce edible fruits, but they're closely related to the red and black currants, which are also actually pretty attractive to bumblebees, although they don't have the pretty flowers. So this is a really easy to grow little shrub. You can grow it from cuttings. But, a really good one for kind of March, April. This is often called pussy willow or goat willow, Salix caprea. It's probably the very best plant you can grow for bees that come out early in the spring, bumblebee queens, and some of the Andrena mining bees in particular. They love this. If I just scan upwards you can't really see, but this is quite a sizable tree, about 10 metres tall. There's several queen bumblebees up there right now. And, really lovely little catkins. Males, the trees are either male or female. This is a male tree, so the catkins all have pollen as well as a little bit of nectar. The female trees just produce nectar, of course, but still attractive to thirsty bees. You can get dwarf varieties of Salix that are suitable for smaller gardens if you don't have room for a big one like this. But because of the size of the tree, it's just producing tons of food for bees. If you can squeeze one of these into your garden, please do. I'm trying out, this is a Schwegler bumblebee nest box. Giant thing made from woodcrete, a kind of mixture of wood shavings and concrete. They're supposed to be really good. Time will tell. There's a kind of little entrance porch with a landing platform, then a tube that leads into the inner chamber, which is all full of cosy bedding. Who knows, hopefully any day a queen will realise what a desirable residence this is and move in. So, there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the tour. Shut up, Poppy. Not many insects about, but at least we saw the flowers that hopefully will attract the insects when it's just a little bit too cold today, although the sun's shining. But they'll be out and about soon enough, I'm sure. Hopefully I'll be back next month for an April update. Thanks for joining me.